Have you ever left a conversation feeling like something inside you just dimmed? You smiled. You listened. You were polite, as always. But when you walked away, your heart felt heavier. Your energy? Gone. And deep down, you heard a quiet voice whisper, "This doesn't feel right anymore." If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. As we grow older, especially after 65, our tolerance for emotional clutter starts to fade. What once felt like being nice now feels like self-betrayal. And here's the truth that no one really talks about: not everyone deserves your kindness. This isn't about being cold or shutting people out. This is about protecting your peace, your joy, your energy, the things that truly matter in this chapter of life. So today, we're going to talk about 5 types of toxic souls you no longer need to entertain in your golden years. You've given enough. Now, it's your turn to reclaim your space. Let's begin with the first one. 1. The constant complainer. We all have hard days. We all need to vent. But some people don't just vent, they dump. They turn every moment into a monologue of misery. The weather is terrible. Their kids don't call enough. The neighbor is rude. The price of lettuce is outrageous. And guess what? You're the one stuck listening. It may seem harmless at first, but slowly, their negativity starts to weigh on you. You find yourself dreading the phone calls, avoiding your usual spots, just in case you run into them. It starts to feel like their clouds are blocking out your sun. One woman, Elise, shared, "At 72, I gave an old friend another chance. But he still drained me with his constant complaints. Saying no and letting go hurt, but the peace I felt afterward was worth everything." Here's your reminder: you are not someone's emotional sponge. You can care from a distance. You can wish them well and still walk away. Because your peace? It's priceless. 2. The guilt tripper. If you really cared, you'd call more. "I guess I'm not that important to you anymore." "Oh, I'll just be alone again tonight." Sound familiar? The guilt tripper doesn't ask, they manipulate. They wrap their needs in emotional blackmail, hoping your kindness will kick in and do the work for them. And for years, maybe it did. Maybe you went out of your way to avoid hurting their feelings. But now, you're starting to realize their guilt is not your burden. Arlene, 67, said it best. "I always felt small around certain loved ones. I was exhausted trying to be enough. I've finally let them go and set my boundaries. It hurts, but peace feels better than pleasing." And that's what this is really about: choosing your well-being over someone else's approval. Guilt is not a sign of love, it's a red flag. You don't owe anyone access to your time, your space, or your heart just because they know how to play the victim. 3. The one who dismisses your feelings. You finally speak up. You share your truth, maybe a small frustration or a moment of pride. And instead of support, you hear, "That's not a big deal. You're too sensitive. At your age, why bother?" Oof. This kind of dismissal stings more than we like to admit. Because it doesn't just invalidate our feelings, it makes us question our right to feel them at all. Sherry, now 70, once said, "I've given so much to people who didn't even say thank you. I told myself it didn't matter, but deep down it did. A little appreciation means a lot." Whether it's pride, joy, frustration, or grief, your feelings are valid. And anyone who makes you feel too much or not enough for simply having emotions, that's not kindness. That's emotional control. You deserve to be seen, heard, and respected. Especially now. Let's pause here. We're only partway through this list, but already the truth is clear. Being kind shouldn't mean being a doormat. You have every right to protect your peace, to step back from people who steal your light, to choose relationships that feel mutual, uplifting, and real. In the next part, we'll explore the final 2 toxic soul types, the interrupters of peace and the helpless victims. Those who take without giving and leave you wondering why you're always so tired. But before we go, I want to ask you, have you ever had to distance yourself from someone who drained your energy? How did it feel? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might help someone else find the courage to choose themselves. So far, we've met the constant complainer, the guilt tripper, and the emotional invalidator. But they're not the only ones quietly draining your energy. Let's talk about someone who might seem harmless, until you realize just how often they disrupt your peace. 4. The interrupter of peace. They never knock. They just show up. Maybe not physically, but in your time, your space, your day. You're finally enjoying a slow morning with tea and a book, or tending to your garden in silence, and here comes the text. The call. The sudden demand. And it's not just once in a while. It's always when you finally feel grounded. At first, you might have thought, oh, they just need me. But eventually you realize, they don't see your time as valuable as theirs. Rose, in her 70s, told us, my sister treated me like an ATM. When I said no to her borrowing my car, after weeks of not fixing her own, she got upset. I've reached my limit. Saying no is self-care. That's exactly it. Saying no is not rude. It's self-respect. The interrupters don't mean harm, but they assume you're always available. And when you say you're not, they act like you're the one being selfish. But let me tell you something, you are allowed to not answer the phone. You're allowed to let it go to voicemail. You're allowed to say, I'm busy, and mean it, even if all you're doing is enjoying your solitude. Boundaries aren't walls. They're fences with gates. And you hold the key. 5. The helpless victim. This one is tricky, because your heart is kind. You want to help. And that's exactly what they rely on. The helpless victim always has a crisis. Always needs saving. Their life is always falling apart, and guess who's always expected to fix it? You. At first, you feel good being there for them. But as the weeks turn into months, or even years, you start to realize, they're not growing. They're not changing. They just keep leaning on your strength, while draining your spirit. Fred and Deborah, both in their 70s, shared. Our daughter only calls when she needs money. We just had to replace our kitchen floor after a leak. Our budget is tight. She needs to learn how to live within her means. We can't always rescue her. That's not selfish. That's truth. Here's what most people won't say out loud. You are not responsible for someone else's healing. You can love someone and still say, I can't help you with this. You can support someone without becoming their crutch. You can care without carrying their entire emotional load. Because when your entire golden chapter is spent putting out fires that aren't yours to fight, guess what burns out? You. You deserve mornings without drama. Days without guilt. Nights that are quiet, not filled with worry over someone else's choices. Let's reflect. We've now uncovered 5 toxic soul types that might be sitting quietly in your life, draining your joy one phone call, one guilt trip, one careless comment at a time. And if this feels familiar, that's not weakness, it's wisdom. Because recognizing what, and who, no longer serves your peace is the first step to reclaiming it. Let me ask you, who in your life crosses your boundaries, then acts offended when you protect them? Who expects you to solve their problems, but never solves their own? Who steals your sunshine with every conversation? You don't need a confrontation. You don't need a grand speech. You just need one quiet, powerful decision to choose yourself. So we've named them now, haven't we? The complainer, the guilt tripper, the emotional critic, the peace interrupter, the helpless victim. And maybe, as you listened, someone came to mind. Or maybe, several did. Here's what I want to remind you, gently but clearly. You're not here to be drained. You're here to be at peace. The truth about being nice. Many of us were raised to be kind above all else. to give the benefit of the doubt, to keep the peace, even when it costs us our own. But let's ask the hard question now. What has being nice cost you over the years? Your time, your rest, your confidence, your sense of self? Helen, a single mother who worked hard her whole life, recently shared this. I spent Christmas alone and was told I wasted my life just working. My daughter forgot how hard I worked to support us. Now I'm learning to enjoy life and not depend on my kids. I just wish I'd realized all this sooner. That line? I just wish I'd realized this sooner. It echoes through so many of us. But here's the beautiful truth. It's not too late. Not to set boundaries. Not to speak up. Not to reclaim what's been slowly, quietly slipping away, your joy. Trimming your circle isn't cold. It's clear. Some people stay in your life because of shared history, but not shared respect. Some show up because they're used to the old you, the one who never said no, the one who always showed up, even when it hurt. But the older you get, the more you realize. You are not here to play small. Pat, who was treated like a free hotel by a long-time friend, finally drew the line. She ghosted me after I said enough. But I felt lighter. I stopped being a doormat. That's what happens when you protect your peace. Yes, some people may leave. But what remains? Freedom. Lightness. Room to breathe. You deserve relationships that lift you, not ones that leave you doubting your worth. What you're choosing now. You're choosing time that feels like yours again. Mornings that begin in stillness, not obligation. Friendships rooted in kindness, not guilt, not drama. Conversations that energize you. Boundaries that guard your joy, not walls that shut you off. And most importantly, you're choosing yourself. Because as one woman, Lena, wisely put it, real friendship, to me, is mutual respect. At this age, at any age, you get to decide what mutual respect looks like. Let's talk. Now it's your turn. Have you ever had to step back from a toxic connection? Was there a moment when you realized being nice was costing you too much? What changed for you when you chose peace over people-pleasing? Leave your story in the comments. You never know. Your truth could be the light someone else needs to find their way. And if this video spoke to you, give it a like, subscribe for more content that honors your strength, and soul share it with someone who might need a gentle nudge to reclaim their peace. Final words. Being kind isn't wrong. But being kind at the expense of yourself? That's a lesson we don't have to keep relearning. This chapter of life? It's about soft strength. It's about showing up for yourself. It's about knowing that saying no doesn't make you mean, it makes you wise. So here's to you. To the boundaries you set. To the peace you protect. And to the quiet, powerful freedom of finally choosing you. Because you deserve to live your best life, not out of obligation, but from a place of wholeness. Take care. Be kind to yourself most of all. And remember, you are not too old to change, you are not too nice to stop, and you are never too late to choose joy.